The AFC Championship matchup is set. The Patriots will travel to Mile High Stadium to take on the Denver Broncos after defeating the Houston Texans 28-16. In snowy conditions, it was both defenses that prevailed as predicted, with rare offensive highlights, the standout being an incredible touchdown grab by Kayshon Boutte in the second half, a catch worthy winning any game. On the Texans side, Will Anderson was a menace, stripping the ball twice, and both him and Daniil Hunter were constant thorn in Drake May's side. May finished with 4 fumbles, but critically only lost 2. Ultimately, it was costly mistakes by the Texans' offense and an inability to generate any offense that really proved the difference. CJ Stroud, 4 interceptions after 5 fumbles last week, will have fans really, really scratching their heads. While the lads are heading home after their live watch-along from Gracco Studios, I'm joined by Kieran Boyle to give our thoughts on the action. Kieran, how do you sum that up?
God, it was a tough watch. God, what do you say? I mean, a lot of people had their doubts about this Texans offense, especially with Nico Collins going out during the week with the concussion. But I mean, I don't think anybody saw this. I mean, I think a lot of people thought the Texans would be competitive, but God, CJ Stroud's reputation is taking a beating tonight. I mean, nothing happened today, nothing at all. I mean, if you're a Texans fan or even a player on the Texans, you must be looking at him like, bro, you got to do something. You got to light a spark. This is not working. The throws were inaccurate. It was jumpy. He didn't get into any rhythm. Granted that the Pats defense was swarming him. But I mean, that was an awful performance from Stroud. And I have to think, I mean, it's not a relevant conversation now, but I have to think that Texans GM Nick Caserio has got to be having one eye in the draft in April and be like, you know what, we gave it a run for a couple of years, but, I can't be showing up on, a team that I've created. I can't be showing up on national or world television with a performance like that, with just interception after interception. I mean, only one of them was really not his fault, the one to Hutchinson, but still, I mean, the throws were inaccurate. They were off time. He was getting guys injured because he was thrown behind them or in front of them. Without a run game too, I mean, everything goes on him. I mean, he ended up throwing the ball. I think it was 40. He threw it 42 times, I think. 44 times. He was 20 of 44. I mean, that's a terrible completion percentage, obviously, but barely over 200 yards, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, and that crucial 4 interception stat. I mean, that was when you don't have a run game, you're forced to throw it all the time. And the Pats knew this. The Pats knew this going into the game. Woody Marks is not anyone's idea of a James Cook or a Josh Jacobs. And other than a couple of decent games during the season, the Patriots did their homework. They knew that, similar to, I'm not going to equate Woody Marks with CMC, but you saw how Seattle completely swarmed and smothered CMC last night. Pats knew all they had to do was just stuff the box, and this guy was getting nothing. And it turned out to be Woody Marks had 14 carries for 17 yards. That is god awful. I mean, there's terrible, there's bad, and there's god awful. And Chubb wasn't much better. He had 14 yards in total, 48 rushing yards the whole game. I mean, you don't see that ever. I mean, especially at a playoff game. So Texans did themselves no favors. Yeah, they were coming into the game hot. With that winning record, staying on the Jags' tail for the business part of the season. But when you put up a performance like that, I mean, that's huge question marks around the team now. Not on the defense. I mean, that defense is untouchable. I won't have any slander against the defense, but the offense was putrid. And it's not a conversation for right now, but Caserio, he has to take a little bit of the blame for this because, yeah, I mean, we knew Nico Collins was out, but even, you've got to have better surrounding players because Nico Collins is just one guy and injuries are prevalent in the NFL. If he goes out, what's your backup plan? And they had a bunch of rookies. They had Higgins, they had Jalen Noel, Hutchinson. I mean, those guys are not going to save the day for you, and they're not going to be your outlet for a non-existing run game. So,
Higgins came up with a few plays, and Christian Kirk again had another touchdown, an impressive offseason, from him. But as you said, CJ Stroud has a lot of questions to answer, and it's funny. Like, it wasn't just the picks he threw; it was, I mean, nearly every second ball he threw, you kind of felt this could be taken away here. I mean, there was so many balls when he was under pressure. instead of having the pocket presence to just live to fight another day, tuck it and just take a sack. He threw up a good few balls. He threw up a few prayers that, really were there for the taking. And like, I think back to, a moment last season. I know the media and everyone makes too much of these moments, but when CJ Stroud met Caleb Williams in the middle of the field after defeating the Bears, and, he gave him this kind of, and just hang in there, kind of a speech as if he was a seasoned vet. I just remember watching that thinking, hold on a second, you haven't made it yet. You've been fantastic up to now, but you could be eating those words. You're not in a position to make those kind of statements. And as I said, you can blow those things up. But ever since then, he's had more questions than answers, really, CJ Stroud. And, I watched, and I agonized over Caleb Williams last week as the Bears came back at the Packers. And even at halftime, I was thinking to myself, and as you called out, Kieran, the Packers were celebrating too soon because this was Caleb Williams and the Bears, and he was chirping up and down the sideline. He was, beating his chest, and he was, ready to go. CJ Stroud looked lost. I mean, his body language, and I'm big on body language. You project, an aura. And I mean, if you looked at his face, it was game over after the first quarter. He looked like he wanted to go into the blue tent and have a cry. It never really improved for him. So, as you said, I mean, what does that say, or what kind of confidence? You rightly said it. You can't say a damn thing about this defense because Hunter, Anderson, Stingley, they were all at it tonight. Every time Anderson came around the corner, you thought he was going to take the ball away from Drake May. So now you're looking at a team that has a generational defense. If they won tonight, you would have been asking, is this the best defense that we've seen since the 2015 Broncos? Are we going to put them up there with the Legion of Boom and all these other great defenses? So if you've got the pieces that are good enough to take your team to a championship, but you don't have a quarterback that can be serviceable enough to get them over the line, how likely is it that they are shopping in the off season?
Well, they have to be thinking about it because the offense was anemic. I mean, but obviously ESPN will be awash with Stroud Talk tomorrow. All the talking head shows will be awash with that. And, a lot of people didn't even think he'd come out for the second half. Such was his performance. I mean, 4 interceptions at the half. Nobody would have been shocked if Mills came out for the second half. And you're right. He looked lost every single time he dropped back to throw. Everybody, not just Texans fans, but just neutral followers were watching it as like just heart in your mouth and like, this is going to be another pick, or this is going to be an overthrown pass, or it's going to end up getting picked off. And as the leader of the team, the quarterback have to portray all the confidence, all the swagger. Even if they don't have it, they got to project it. And you're right. The body language, the facial features were not there. And Casario's got to be thinking about making a change because this defense is all world. It's a once in a probably a decade defense. Like you said, the Broncos 2015. I put them up there with the Legion of Boom. I mean, you start talking about the 85 Bears, the 86 Giants. These are legendary defenses, and that's what this Texans defense could be down the line. But they need a huge amount of work on offense. There's a non-existent running game. When Christian Kirk is your wide receiver one, that's the reason why I picked the Patriots. That's the main reason. I just didn't think they would be able to generate enough offense. And when we got a bunch of rookies out there, you're hoping for the best from them. Yeah, they'll be good in a year or two, but you can't throw them out there in a playoff game against this Pats defense and expect them to have, career games. So there's a lot going to ride on Casario. A lot of fingers will be pointed at him and be like, listen, you jacked up your defense, but you neglected the offense, and now you're out of the playoffs.
And that's it. And the problem is, it's not just one problem on offense. I mean, it's the offensive line as well as the receivers and the quarterback that now have questions over them. So I mean, you can't just we all looked at the Seahawks last offseason and we said, okay, offensive line, you need to start there. That was a bit of a no-brainer and a home run. And then you look what they built on top of that. But with the Texans, it kind of is a case of where do we start on this offense, because it does seem to be top to bottom. On the other side of the ball, on the other side of the field, should I say, the Patriots, they weren't perfect by any manner of means. I mean, they turned the ball over like crazy as well. It was a wild night. It was at one point, I don't know if it went beyond 8 turnovers, but we had 8 turnovers quite early in the second half. And we were looking to, the lads in Greco Studios had Craig on the stats, and he was looking at the record for playoff turnovers. I think it was 12, he said it was. But, not perfect by any manner of means. Drake May was a bit loose with the ball. Again, he was under massive pressure. The offensive line took a bit of a beating as well. But you could argue that most offensive lines would take a beating off those guys. But at the same time, there's something about Drake May. He seems to be a winner. He seems to be able to pull out those big moments when he needs to. And I think Mike Vrabel is an absolute champion as well. And they're going to go into Mile High full of confidence. Big players came up with big moments. Keishawn Booty, that was as good a catch as you could see to win any game. Your boy Pop Douglas, local from St. Augustine, I think you put in the comments on the live show. Nice early touchdown grab, and Stephon Diggs coming up with a big moment as well. So, while not necessarily all household names, and you've got Stephon Diggs past probably what was his prime, these guys have some weapons. Hunter Henry, at tight end as well. There's a nice balanced offense, and Henderson and Stevenson there, ran the ball effectively, especially in the end when they had to close it out. I mean, they were able to chew up the clock at the very end, just did what needed to be done.
Yeah, I mean, they got a great run game between Stevenson and Henderson, and you've got hungry offensive players. You've got wide receivers. Diggs is probably, how many bridges has Diggs burned over the course of his career? And he's probably realizing that he's at the tail end of his career and he's got to play nice if he wants to be on that field. So he's looking for something. He's looking for a ring. He's been close with the Bills. Boutte, Pop Douglas, even people like Matt Collins who didn't play. But you got people that were hungry, and there's no divas other than Diggs, but there's no kind of drama going around on the field. And players are hungry. They want to win. They bought into Vrabel. They brought into the whole dynamic. They want to be the next generation of Patriots champions. And then showed out there. I mean, again, when you've got a running game and you're able to just mix it up like the way that they did, I mean, it's a great recipe for success. And these are not just bums. I mean, Boutte's one-handed catch, that was a phenomenal play. That was one of the catches of the year. And when he was called upon, he came up with a big play. Pop Douglas, again, he's a kid who's still learning the ropes, but, he's been a reliable wide receiver 3, you want to call him, for the Pats. And between them, the sum is greater than the whole. I mean, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I mean, they're just – it's almost like a perfect storm in New England between what they have on the offense and obviously what they have on defense. And Drake May, I mean, he's been exactly what you wanted. I'm still bitter and sore, and I will continue to be that he's not a Giant. But that'll always be with me. I would have loved to see him in blue, but it's just a testament to Vrabel and what he can do. We talk about coaching and the lack of coaching in some quality teams and what it impacts. We saw with the Giants, a team that could have been a playoff team possibly with a dearth of coaching. And then you look at the Patriots and what they have with Vrabel, a guy people would run into battle with. And it's another story where the Pats are, reloading. I mean, they haven't, I think 21 last playoff game against the Bills, which they lost. So for them, it's, this is what they know. This is what the fans know. They took a couple of years off, but now they're back.
And now they head into Mile High Stadium to take on a Broncos team without Bo Nix. I mean, Jared Stidham is a completely different prospect. And I know Mike Vrabel is, I'm sure he won't allow complacency to set in, but they have to be full of confidence that they can take on a backup quarterback and the Broncos in Mile High after putting it up to such a vaunted defense tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think Connor in the live show talked about and I think we've all known about the quote unquote relative ease of the Patriots schedule this year. I mean, they haven't had a huge amount of struggles. They play in other than the Bills, a fairly manageable division. And they've I'm not going to call it an easy ride because I'll get bombarded, but it hasn't been all that challenging as opposed to years past. But I mean, Sean Payton can dress it up any way he wants. Jarrett Stidham hasn't started since 23. I think he has 4 starts in the league. I mean, he can say what he wants, and he'll do his classic Paytonisms over the course of the week, and he'll lull the media into a false sense of security. But if you're giving me Drake May and the Pats against Stidham and the Broncos, I'm taking the Pats 10 out of 10. I just it's all signs point towards Santa Clara for the Pats for me. I think they've been a little bit fortunate, but man, how great would it have been in hindsight if the Bills had managed to pull it off, and we would have had the Bills and Patriots to look forward to at Foxborough. But again, we have the Broncos, as good as the Broncos were last night, it's got to be a Patriots win for me, and we'll talk about that later down the road. But I wouldn't be scared at all if I was the Pats, and I'd be very, very nervous and concerned. Again, another great defense in Denver, but that offense is going to be really tested with Stidham behind center.
And I see in the background here on my TV screen, I see the Rams getting ready to take on the Bears for the big game tonight. So with that, it's going to be a good night from us. I hope Connor, wherever he is, he's getting home safely, because he's going to be absolutely, on overdrive trying to get home for the start of this one. Big Bears fan. So stay tuned for the rest of the week or for the coming week to more reaction from all this weekend's action.